It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go, here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it if your friends come on.
Come on, come
Don't
on.
miss a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still trouble in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday, 8 and 9, and it's on.
Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show when at night, people. That's right. It is the Sinclair Show coming to you live and direct. And truth be told, I'm glad to be back on the air. I done missed y'all for a few weeks. I was out of town on business. And some of y'all sent me some hate mail, and I really just be wanting to understand why y'all get so angry. Sometimes, don't y'all think I deserve a little break from time to time? I'm assuming that the answer is no for some of y'all, but it's all good. I ain't even tripping no more. All right. But check this out. Let me turn on some of this stuff. Pop up. I ain't got to deal with the backlash from you all, the new people. But look, first I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions, comments, things you want to talk about to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. I'm going to continue to try to peruse through a few of them each night. I'm on the air to reach you, because you all are the valued listeners. And what does that mean? That means without you all, there would be no reason for me to be here. I see somebody that's trying to pop in. Let me cancel this person out. But anyway, so look, people, I've been gone for a minute. Ever since I've been gone, y'all been out here in these proverbial internet streets acting the absolute fool. I done got some little hate mail and some all kind of stuff that just be popping on. So I just want to tell y'all, calm down out there in these internet streets. Some of y'all for the streets for real, but I digress from that. Listen, Linda, listen. So I'm going to tell y'all a little story. Because often y'all ask me, how did we get to a particular topic or whatever? So tonight I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give y'all the entrance into this. Now, I probably would not have been talking about this subject matter, but I done had at least 4 people who have approached me, or as some good people say, broached me about the subject matter. And it is about marriage and divorce and a bunch of other topics. So let me get something clear with you all. I hope y'all don't think y'all can ask me some questions. It's supposed to shape me from answering it, because I'm built different than that. And I want you to understand that my views and my opinion is just that. It's mine. You may think differently. Personally, that doesn't bother me one way or another. But don't get to the point where you are so locked into your own ways that you can't process something different than what you've been exposed to over the years. Let me say it again. Some of you all, not all, do have a habit of becoming enraged when someone has a view that is different than yours. All right. So I just want to clear that out before I start this little process tonight. Because again, the topic initially came up because somebody asked me a question about divorce. All right. And it was one of my ministerial colleagues. And so as we was vibing about it, they gave me their perspective, to which I could not deny that they had some scriptorial support for. So again, we were not at odds with each other about any part of the dialogue, if you will. All right. But what wound up happening was, as I presented some alternative perspective, this particular person anyway, got in their little feelings. And so which led me to this little thing here. So then it was probably a week or so later, I'm having a different conversation, and somebody brought up expectations. I'm like, man, God might be trying to tell me I need to talk to some of you thugs about these things. And as they talked about the expectations and the failures or the lack of the success that they believe that they would experience, and I began to ask them questions. And once again, the questions led to some less than favorable comments. And I had to let them know I don't really care nothing about what you think. No way. You asked me my opinion, so I gave it to you. And then most recently, and let me say this to y'all, for those of you all who be stopping like in the middle of the street asking me, or as y'all see me out in public, when y'all see me in public, that's probably not the time to ask me a question, because I may be going to and fro handling some business. So you might not get the most warm response, or you might get a quick answer. And if you get a quick answer, don't take that as I am brushing you off. It means sometimes you just gonna get the answer and we're gonna move forward. All right. So tonight's topic is marriage and divorce. What God, and here's the phrase. Here's the scriptural phrase that that I was given. And they said what God has joined together versus what man put together. And there's a walk up to this, if you will. And so let's begin this with a little vibing for this. So as we're discussing one of the most important subjects in our society, whether it's from the streets, the church, homes, families, it's always marriage and divorce. For those of you who have been married, and some of you who have been divorced, and some may not have been married before, marriage has a power to bring tremendous joy, companionship, stability, and purpose. So we are pro-marriage. We're not anti anything. Yet marriage can also become a source of pain, disappointment, frustration, heartbreak when it is entered to without wisdom, preparation, and God's guidance. So why am I even bringing it up? Because today we're going to explore the conversation that many of you have had in relation to what happens when marriages are not successful. And most of you who vibe with a particular frame of mind is because you probably have read or been quoted or some aspect of it from a scriptural space, which was probably Matthew 19, where at the time of you handling your nuptials, the presider of that probably quoted and said, "Wherefore there are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God have joined together, let no man put asunder." All right? And that's what y'all rock with. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, as I said to somebody, first of all, let me be clear about something. Oh, y'all, there's y'all boy Jay Dizzle. What's up, Jay Dizzle? Glad to see you on the show tonight. And so therefore, when I'm talking to you all about tonight is, first you got to understand what it's talking about in order for you to understand why you may or may not be reaping the benefits, and how do you reconcile that when you or one party or the other determines that, hey, I got to make an exit from this. Let me start by saying this. If you've never been married before, most of this may seem abnormal to you because, truthfully speaking, and I say this about anything, if you ain't never been diving before, you can't tell me how to go diving. In this particular case, if you've never been married before, you can't tell me what you should and should not do. You can tell me your perception, but that don't really count for much with me because you ain't been in the trenches. You never been to war before. You can't tell me what it feels like, whatever. So the conversation always, depending on who's on the other side and what their experience has been. I was talking to a friend of mine who has been I think she and her husband have been married for like 40 plus years, 35, 40, some number like that. And so her outlook through all that they've experienced, good, bad, right, wrong, it doesn't matter. Their experience is different because they've got 40 years or thereabouts of data that they can process. And they attach that with their spiritual belief, and it supports what they have experienced. And so, of course, I would never go to someone who's had that level of experience and say what you're thinking and feeling is wrong, or when you're dealing with someone else, how you handle it may be right or wrong. I want you to stand on business for what you believe, but have a reason and a clear understanding about it. So one person said to me, Sinclair, it's in the good book that if you're married and you divorce somebody for any reason that is not adultery, then you're committing adultery to somebody else. I said, what? Say less. And I knew the scripture that they were talking about. Okay? So they were not wrong in what they quoted. And I said to them, that is factual. I said, and even the good disciples had questions about it, so they went and said they had to ask Jesus twice. Hey, let me ask you something. What did you mean by that statement? Now, many of you have drawn your conclusions as to what was meant by it. But I want you to understand how you can get to the right place and still be wrong. First and foremost, that particular scripture in Matthew began by saying, wherefore there are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put us under. The phrase, where therefore God hath joined together, it did not say if some of you thugs out there decide that you went and picked you somebody that you wanted to get with for whatever your reason, meaning you thought they was cute, you thought they was thick, you thought he was handsome, he was this tall, he was this toned, for whatever the reason, there is no quote that says if you go pick something, that's what God has joined together. You might join it together. The judge at the courthouse might join it together. You might even have a preacher, a pastor, a bishop, or someone who might join you together, but that's not the same thing. So you got to understand the statement says what God joined together. So when y'all out here almost threatening your loved ones about the moves that they are making, you are on the spiritual candy apples, if you will. You're not understanding that you're not going to reap the benefits that God may have promised if he's not the one that put you together. I know what y'all think. Y'all thinking, Sinclair, come on now, you tripping with me. I'm not tripping with you at all. The statement says, what therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. It never said what man put together. So that stands to reason, if what I'm saying is making sense to you, that you're not likely to get the results that you expect from reading, because the scriptures will tell you, your faith will tell you all of these wonderful things that are promised to you, but it's promised to the couple that God brought together. It is not promised to who you went out and latched on to because you had a reason, whatever the reason was. I liked you, I loved you, you drove a nice car, she made a good apple pie. I don't care what the reason was. And I'm not knocking if that's the path you chose. I'm just telling you, in the event you are wondering why you are not reaping the benefits or you can't comprehend something, and there's a common sense mechanism that is built in. And this is for all my spiritual people out there, because you all sometimes jump off the proverbial bridge because you read something and you go off your interpretation, and you might not even be in the right headspace, but you're navigating off what you perceive. Let me give you an example. Now, me being theologically inclined and love to study, I go look up information. There's no place where you can show me where Christ said that it is okay for a man or woman to attack their spouse. So, if you're in a situation where someone is physically abusive, there is no place anybody can show you that says that Christ would expect you to stay in a abusive relationship. And I don't care if it's your pastor, my pastor, the pastor up on the hill. I don't care if it's your lawyer, somebody else's. I don't care if it's your friend or somebody else's friend. I don't care if it's your sister, your cousin, your brother. If somebody tells you you're supposed to allow somebody to physically assault you because you chose to marry them, and that Christ would be displeased if you got out of an abusive relationship, they are a lie and you a fool. Them facts. I don't even have to get involved in the emotional allocations of mindset that some of you have. You can't show me a scripture where it says that a man should stay in a relationship with a matter of fact, let's talk about what it does say. It gives a opportunity for divorce in the event that there is adultery. There are scriptures that give man only the ability to divorce a woman if he feels like she's not living up to the expectation. Now, there is no scripture that gives a woman that opportunity. Does that sound like something how Jesus would be rolling? Come on now. Stop the cap. So don't sit up here and stop me out in the parking lot and ask me my opinion and get mad when I tell it to you, because I deal with facts. I'm dealing with what it says. It says, what therefore God joined together, not your homeboy, not your homegirl, not because somebody put y'all together. And listen, I know, let me tell y'all something. It's real funny. So I know this little young person, and I call her my little mini me. And she's very, very smart for her age. And she's got this thing that she says, what's going on? Gwendolyn Lady Elegance. She's coming to y'all from Rocket City, Alabama. Do that thing, girl. But the little mini me says almost on a weekly basis, if you have an opportunity to talk with her, she would use a phrase that says there is consequence for everything you do. Now, if a young person knows that, y'all, there she go, Detective Pamela Black, what's going on? Detective Pamela Black, man, she reached out to me and gave me some negative energy because I guess she thought I had blocked her from the show or something. I don't know, man. But anyway, so the little person says it has common sense enough to know that there are consequences for everything you do. And so if you take that into consideration, then when you misinterpret something, and let me begin by saying this. Let's not get drunk off what somebody tells you, because one's interpretation may be accurate or inaccurate. But you can never go wrong by applying your common sense. So if there's not a scripture that says that if you get married, your husband or your wife can beat you, then, and you're supposed to stay, then let's assume that if it were that way, that Christ would have gave that directive. But a lot of times you're not going to hear a preacher say that, because in some cases they the ones that's becoming the assaulter of somebody. And let me be clear, I am not telling you all when or if you should leave somebody, divorce somebody, stay with somebody. That's between you, your own intuition, your own spiritual walk, your own reservations. I always tell people, you should not leave one day before you're ready, and you should not stay one day longer than what your conscience tells you you should. Because somewhere in the middle of that time frame is what you ought to be doing. But let's keep moving. So there's a lot of things that bring people together. Sometimes it might be loneliness, fear, convenience, pregnancy, finances, trauma. But God joining two people together is something entirely different. It is not attached to something that you got going on. Now, it could be an experience that you have, and God could bring people together. Facts. But the mindset of people who judge what you should go through, how much you should go through. I've even had people say to me, well, what do you think about this, or that? There is very few reasons why they would ask me these types of questions, except for they're trying to lock me into a particular place that I don't mind going anyway. So let's keep moving. See, in our society, and for those of my Anglo-Saxon compadres, listen to what I'm saying. In our society, you are pressured at a certain point to get married. Let's take it from the top. If a woman in our society reaches a certain age and she's not married, people begin to look at that person as if there's something wrong with them. Doesn't mean that it is. It's how our society is established. Now, it could be that she's got a perfect sense of understanding and saying, hey, I ain't met who God had for me. I just haven't met the right person. And if you haven't met the right person, you shouldn't. Now, in fairness, there is equally a space that we exist in where many of you are relationship deficient, because in our culture, and in this particular case, when I say our, I'm speaking directly to Black culture, African American culture. I'm not talking about Anglo-Saxon or white. I'm not talking about Latino. I am not talking about Asian. I am specifically talking about African American culture. Let me tell you what very rarely is discussed in our culture. I probably can't find a handful of people, for those of you who are on, okay, let me say this. A lot of times y'all are asking me questions. I'm looking at a couple of different screens. A lot of times you all are asking me questions from a different format. The way that I stream, it goes out to Twitter, Twitch, it goes out to Facebook, it goes out to YouTube, it goes out to a local television station. There's a lot of platforms. So sometimes you're asking questions in some of these and they don't pop up on my screen. So if you are on YouTube and I'm not responding, it's because I'm not seeing the questions pop up. Anyway, so let's talk about something. Let's talk about this space of being relationship deficient. Most people in African American culture. Oh, y'all, there she go. Dr. Beverly Key, what's going on? Glad to see you. The reason why most people in African American culture are relationship deficient is because we do not teach our daughters how to be in relationships. We don't teach our sons how to be in relationships. We prepare our children for survival. I know some of y'all ain't gonna agree. That's your business. Most parents will say to their daughters, let's just take daughters first. They're gonna say, you can't trust a man. He probably gonna leave. He ain't gonna do right, whatever. So you need to know how to take care of yourself. You need to know how to provide. You even got dads that'll teach their daughters how to change oil and do all these things. We teach young women the mindset of how to go out and earn a living. We teach them, and it's not a bad thing. But you can't let that be the focus that drives you, but then wonder why time after time that we are relationship deficient, because you're not telling them how to communicate in a relationship. You're not teaching your sons how to communicate in a relationship. You're teaching him, hey, you're gonna have to get out here and you're gonna have to hit the streets, you're gonna have to hustle. Then you're teaching them that, hey, look, you know, the more women that you talk to, the more women that you get with, it makes you a certain type of man. So they grow up with that mindset. And if we're not teaching them how to communicate, we're not teaching them how to be a protector. I'm not talking about a protector from somebody that might come through the door. I'm talking about we're not teaching our sons how to be the protectors of a woman's heart. Then how do we expect there to be relationships or marriages between, what up, Marcus Key? Glad to see you. How do we expect there to be successful relationships between African-American males and females when neither party has been taught to be in a relationship and or to be married? Now, y'all can say, oh, I do this and I do. Stop the cap. Stop the lies. You are more likely to find a black woman in America who is successful business-wise, who is single or cannot be in a relationship, because it is difficult for her to comprehend having to listen to somebody or to take guidance from somebody because her parents didn't teach her about that. You are likely to find a single black male or a black male who has 2 or 3 women and is doing this because the parents aren't teaching them to be in monogamous relationships. They're teaching them, hey, this is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to be a black woman. We are more mindset on fighting the system than learning to have positive relationships. Let me tell y'all something. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't care nothing about you getting in your feelings. To the African-American woman, let me see what Marcus said. He said these days, they aren't even taught to be in a relationship with each other. Listen, they came from Marcus. I ain't disagreeing with him. That man might be speaking facts. I want y'all to understand something. Relationships require 2 primary components. One, you must have something in common with the person that you intend to spend what you say is the rest of your life with. Come on now. Hey, I'm walking y'all to where y'all asked me to go, but it takes some steps to get there. You trying to be in a relationship where you have nothing in common with the person means that everything that is important to you will not likely be important to them. And when it is not, whatever is important to you will become emotionally burdensome to the other person. So let me say, as a matter of principle, if, let's say, look here, Margaret said definitely common ground needs to be had. Absolutely. So let me say this. And ladies, I'm not picking on you, but I'm speaking to you so you will have some insight to the minds of a man. If you are, let's say you dating a man, and I'm going to use myself as an example. There are certain things that I enjoy doing. I like to fish. Check one block for fishing. I enjoy, Margaret said, y'all need to be equally yoked, if you will. Hey, we're going to rock with that phrase. I like to, from time to time, have a good cigar, like a little jazz music. I am spiritually inclined. I'm an outdoor type person. Now, if somebody is seeking to be in a relationship with someone who has similar characteristics as me, and I'm not soliciting, okay, it would be a difficult task for someone to say, I'm going to be in a relationship with someone who likes to fish and you don't like to fish, because every time I get ready to go fishing, you're going to feel like I'm not pouring into the relationship because I want to go and do something you don't want to go do. And now I know what some of you will say, oh, you can learn to love something. If you don't like to do something, doing it because somebody told you that they wanted you to, it's not going to make you like it anymore. So let's not lie to each other. So if you don't like to fish and I like to fish, I'm either going to reduce how often I go fishing, or you're going to be mad more often than not when I go fishing. Let's take the old cigars. That is one of the things I like. So if you don't like cigars and I like cigars, the likelihood that when I go to my designated cigar smoking area that you're going to be positive about it, because you're going to see whatever I am doing. Margaret said, I won't force you to like my hobbies. All right, good job. When I get ready to go, as Marcus said, to do my hobby, it is going to be emotionally offensive to you, because you're going to see it as, all right, you went to work today, you put in 10 hours at the job, you came home, you got your shower, you asked a few questions, you had a little conversation. Now you want to be like a tiptoe burglar and go to your cigar bar area, wherever you got at your house, that you do your thing. It's going to be offensive to you, because you're going to say, you don't have time for me. And she's not necessarily wrong for feeling that way, because you chose a person that you didn't have things in common with. I would go back and ask, well, what did you pick that person for in the first place? Okay. And so I use those analogies so y'all wouldn't say I was talking about one of y'all. But some of you don't realize that you can't be in a productive relationship because of you. For all of you all who are in a relationship, an on and off again relationship, don't have one, whatever, ask yourself, what is the reason that you find it difficult to be in long-term relationships? Some of y'all, it could be, y'all, they go, my armor bearer, what's going on, Essie Shepherd? Glad to see ya. Some of you all may not be in a relationship because you may be in a space in your life where you've gone through enough and you just don't feel like going through it. And I'm telling you that there is going to be a point in your life where if you conduct yourself appropriately, the right person is going to come to you. But then there's the other group, male or female. Some of y'all can't find nobody, can't be with nobody because you are the type of individual that you would rather create a standard by which you eliminate people that cause you to have to look at self. I heard a young man say the other day, ain't no good women out here in these streets. Well, maybe y'all stop looking for them in the streets. But I don't subscribe to the fact that there are no good women. There are some women, many women, who've never been taught to be in a effective relationship. So yeah, what you are presented with is somebody who has been unlearned about relationships. These are just facts. If society tells a person all you should care about is your job, what type of car you drive, what you got in your bank account, how many women or men you can be with or have on your roster or whatever. If these are the things that society is saying you should focus on, then there is no way for you to find a positive long-term relationship, because the average person that's worth a hill of beans ain't gonna want to be with you if your attitude ain't right, if you are not receptive to relationship structure, which means somebody got to be able to tell you something sometime. I know some of y'all about mad right now, talking about he ain't talking about me. I probably ain't talking about y'all. I don't even know half of y'all that's up here. But don't get mad because I'm telling you something you don't want to hear. Ask yourself, why can't you be in a successful relationship? Now we flipping back to when we was talking about marriages. So if you pick the wrong person, why would you expect the right results? Remember, it didn't say what you joined together. It said what God joined together. Some of y'all ain't prayed about nothing. Some of y'all praying in vain because you sitting around talking about, God, please send me the right person. Right person for what? You don't even know who you are. I want somebody with all these characteristics. Let me give y'all a little lesson. Stop asking people to be something that you are not. I want somebody that's understanding. That ain't you. I want somebody that's selfless. That's not you. I want somebody to love me just for me. Talia Matthews, what's going on, girl? Glad to see you. That ain't you. If everything you're looking for in a person ain't you, then you should date the person in the mirror. I know y'all get mad. I don't even care. Because these are facts. Stop being down. And some of y'all, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this as a matter of principle. If you want to know if somebody is a hater and in a certain way with relationships, take that person around relationships and see how they act. There are some dudes that if you say the word marriage, they'll break out in hives. Oh, no, man. There are some women that hate to see anybody in a successful or happy relationship. Oh, no, something's going to go wrong. How do you know? And if you are, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. If the thought of commitment makes you nervous, it has nothing to do with the person on the other side. It's 100% about whatever is embedded in you. That's facts. Now, there are situations where people are not ready. Oh, y'all, there's my homegirl. Good evening, Annie Moore. Margaret said people be out here praying for downfall because they can't get it right. Hey, talk about it, big dog. Talk about it. Matter of fact, let's talk about what Marcus said. And I'm going to say this to you all because Marcus put that out there. Wasn't me, but I'm going to rock with it. Stop having people in your corner that don't want you to have nobody. Now, that doesn't mean that people won't look out for you. Because sometimes you be so head over heels that they be like, bruh, that chick you with, she is a killer. Now, if somebody thinks that the person you with is a serial killer, you might want to get some facts because they might know something you don't know. Sometimes people ain't hating when they tell you, hey, did you see that? I just seen the dude down the street and he was acting like an absolute fool. Maybe you ought to listen. But you also should be inspecting what you expect from the people that you allow in your circle. Let me tell y'all about me. I'm a grown man. So I don't give people an opportunity to decide my grown man moves. That's just me. I have been successful and failed in my life. And anytime I failed or was successful, I don't get too high or too low about it, whether it's personal, professional, spiritual, or otherwise. But you don't get to tell me what to do with my life. Now, there is, as the little mini me said, there is consequences for everything you do. So those times when I've been wrong, I paid a price for it. And I can't blame everybody that I've ever met because my situation in life, be they professional, personal, or otherwise, didn't always turn out the way that I would have liked for them to. But stop letting people be in your space to tell you, and again, I started tonight's conversation off with, if you never been diving, you're not the person that I'm going to ask to show me how to deep sea dive. Because you ain't been there. You ain't done that. Then, how does this correlate to the topic at hand? Because when you talk about marriage or divorce or some interaction thereof, the first thing you have to think about is, why did you expect it to be successful? I would dare to say 25% or more of the people in marriages that are unsuccessful, if you ask them, they will tell you, if they're honest, that there were some signs or something that they believed existed before they said the nuptials. They pushed past it anyway. But that doesn't necessarily make the person that you were in a relationship and it didn't work out the wrong person. That meant that you didn't listen to the signs. Then, because again, it said what God joined together, not man. You didn't have it, you didn't seek his consultation beforehand, but you want him to give you all that was promised to you. Let me tell you why it doesn't work. There is in the Bible a blueprint, and the blueprint tells you that in the event that you were to find the right person, that person, the man, would likely have some spiritual connection. And because of that spiritual connection, you would likely be able, if you are the wife, you would likely be able to follow that person's lead, because that person, along with a host of other things, would be guided by their faith or their belief in spirituality. Makes sense. But if you pick somebody who doesn't have a spiritual connection, why do you believe that anything that is promised in the spiritual guidance is going to work? I'm just asking. Because the concept is, spiritually, man would be walking in a favorable direction. And because he is walking in a favorable direction, that woman should be able to follow him. And the kids, if there are any, would be able to follow her. And it would be a successful strategy in the blueprint. But if you pick somebody not because they see, let me see how I can say this without making some of y'all mad, and I don't really care. But if you pick somebody because how good they look, that will not sustain when looks fade away. If you pick somebody because they had a good figure, shapely, if you will, then what are you going to do when they no longer are the same physical size that they were at the time when you met them? If that's what drew you to them, when that changes, you're not going to be in a space where you can tolerate it, because you're going to start looking at them with the stank face, if you will. Because you got with them because of how they look. Let's say you got with somebody because they had money. Let me tell y'all about money. Money does not make relationships successful. It can eliminate you from having some of the struggles that some people face at different points, but it is not a solution and the promise of success. Most people who have money are lacking in some other character areas, because if that's all you have, then there's a problem. Now me, I done been broke before. I done been on the other side of fiscally stable. I have been on a side whereby finances are no longer a thing that I'm concerned about, because I've been very blessed with the work that I do and with some of the things that go on. But I never forgot what it felt like to be broke. So I don't want y'all to think that I'm saying everybody that got money is relationship deficient. I'm saying to you that picking somebody because they have money will make you feel like an object, because everything that they do, they will tell you about the fact that they did it. They will bring up the fact that I financed XYZ. Some of the best people in the world. Now, ladies, I'm going to say this. Y'all don't give them much airplay because of how y'all have been taught once again. Hey, Marcus said a lot of them are relationship deficient, though. Say it again, big dog. Let me go and put this, let me sprinkle this on your spirit right quick. Because some of y'all be needing to get a little razzle dazzle in your day. Here's the truth. I was having a conversation, and I ain't going to call nobody's name because I didn't get permission to. Okay? But when I was having this conversation, it was brought up about I made a comment by which I said women who are fiscally stable, or they have sufficient funding where they don't need a man to provide something for them, generally are not going to go out and date a professional who happens to be a custodian or a sanitation worker or somebody that's working at a fast food restaurant. Now, let me tell y'all something. The person's response, now I can tell y'all, she was lying. She was lying because she stalled out when she even said it. She was like, I would. Straight lie. First of all, I bet you if I was to ask right now, where's your maintenance worker or your custodian, I bet you she can't never show me where she ever dated one. See, when someone verbalizes these things to y'all, ladies, y'all want to act like, oh, I would. No, you wouldn't. Because if you did, more y'all would have a custodian in your life. Because, one, why would you not want to deal with a man who is comfortable helping clean up? Uh-oh. Marcus said, you don't want to date nobody working at a fast food restaurant But you want that BK King, though. You want him to bring you something back. Okay? I'm rocking with what you're saying. See, because here's the thing. You don't want to date somebody who the public might ask you what your man does. Call it what it is. Women, most of y'all are like that. Y'all don't want to have to tell your girl, oh, shoot, you know what? Man, Leroy, yeah, he work over there at the high school. He's a custodian over there. You don't want to say that because you embarrassed. Leroy is not embarrassed. Matter of fact, let me look something up right quick. Yeah, I like to look up things, right? The average base salary for a custodial worker in North Carolina is about 30 grand, $30,000. All right. Most of you all are not going to, most of you all who find yourself in fiscally sound positions are not going to roll up on Leroy because you did what I did. You typed into Google at what the average salary was, and you saw $30,000, and you got in your feelings. Oh no, not Leroy. I dare not. Now, let me tell you something. And I'm going to show y'all this. See, I like to put stuff up here. Y'all probably, there it is right there. Y'all see that? So let me tell y'all, for those of you who think every custodian is at 30,000, it says high-end custodian salaries can range from 80,000 to over 200 annually, depending on the heavily and specific job title. So custodial engineers, they start off at 113 to 182. Custodial supervisors start off at 70,000. So when you're talking about the 30,000, that is considered a entry-level custodian. Median wage for senior custodians or somebody who has more than 8 years is about 66,000 up to 136. So while y'all was around here listening to the title of his position, talking about I'm not getting with no custodian, you got custodians out here making 60,000 on up to 100. But you ain't want to tell your girl you was with a custodian. And here's why I don't process this. Women who have financial means, who don't want to, quote unquote, lower their standards to go get with a custodian, will be the very ones to go get with a dude that ain't got no job. You'll be the very ones to go get with a hustler. I don't understand it. The dude that's the custodian, and in this case, if he's been in there for 7 to 10 years, he probably making about 60 grand a year. You ain't got no time for him because you don't want to tell somebody he's a custodian, but you ain't got no reservation about telling somebody your man a drug dealer. Ain't that crazy? I'm just saying. You don't want to go out here and tell nobody that you got somebody that's a farmer. Oh no, ain't no glamour in that. But you there gonna show out there in the garden trying to pull up all this fruits and vegetables. So what I'm saying to you all, and look at the opposite side, the average dude, I don't care how much he makes. The average dude does not care what a woman makes. Okay? Just don't. The average real dude, I ain't talking about no YN. I'm not talking about them YNs. Them YNs need you to have something because they need to be able to play video games while you at work. But the average real dude, let's say 35 and above, he don't care what the woman make. That's the thing. Ladies, let me tell you something else. A man will accept a woman with flaws faster than a woman will accept a man with flaws. Because if she makes money, she's got, oh, I'm not going to lower my standard. Let me tell you, what is your standard? I'm just saying. You can't figure it out because you are emotional, spiritual, and relationship deficient because you see things through a prism that is non-beneficial. Like I said, I definitely don't care how much she makes, just make sure I get my steak. See what that man said? And I promise you, I could poll all the men on all of these different formats that we own tonight, because I see some dudes over here on Twitter giving me the thumbs up. I see a whole, the average dude doesn't care. You could fix the average dude a bologna sandwich, bring him some Kool-Aid, and sit down and give him some conversation for about 20 minutes and let him watch TV, and I promise you, he don't even care. But the average woman who makes a certain living is not trying to hear you bring her some bologna sandwich. Come on now, make it make sense. So when this conversation tonight, and let me get back to where I started at. For those of you who have this thing where you like to question me and you're talking about marriages, successful or otherwise, and you know, if I do this and I do that, then you're in violation. Let me tell you something. It says what God joined together. If God didn't join you together, you don't qualify for nothing on that list. You just two Negroes that selected each other, and you are dealing with the navigation and consequences of you selecting somebody for a reason that ain't had nothing to do with nothing. Stop lying to people and telling them keep pressing on. Somebody tells you that they're in a verbally abusive relationship. Stop telling them, oh, just keep praying. God gonna stop. God is not gonna stop something that he ain't had nothing to do with. He's not getting involved in that foolishness that you chose to do. You didn't come knock on his door when you was making your selection process. The work and the effort that it takes to be in a successful relationship comes to people when you put thought into who you picked. Who has influence over your relationship choices? If it's your homegirl or your homeboy, that is not a way to pick somebody. It's a whole lot of y'all that lost out on something that's good for you, listening to somebody on the side of it. Y'all having girls' night out, and y'all listening to somebody, girl, he can't do nothing for you. He ain't got nothing. He just a custodian. Now, what if men did that? What if men looked at women and said, if you're not where I am financially, then I'm not going to mess with you? Now, it's already statistically 13 women to every one man in America. 13 to 1. So your odds is already dwindling. And then of the remaining men out there, you've got a small percentage that are straight and monogamous. You got another sequence that are straight, but they gonna mess around. You got another percentage that are gay out there. You got another percentage that are incarcerated. And I ain't judging. I'm just trying to tell you the pool of candidates ain't that great. So while you walking around talking about if a person don't make a certain amount of money, you shouldn't date them, you ain't got that bigger pool. Look, people, it's about time for me to go. I shouldn't even been talking to y'all this long. It's 9 o'clock. I'm about to get up off here. We're going to finish this later. But I'm telling y'all, I want y'all to deep dive into some things and ask yourself a question. Are you incapable of being in a successful relationship because of the person in the mirror? I'm just trying to tell you. Most of the time it's you. And if you can't make your own decision, stop letting somebody else make a decision and getting mad when it goes bad because that person didn't want you to have nobody because maybe that person ain't got nobody. If you gonna let somebody tell you what to do, at least go pick some people that's successful. They got the blueprint. I told you, I know somebody been married for 40 some years. I might have to listen to them because they found something that works and they can give me some advice. But if you can't stay in a relationship more than 60 minutes, you can't be the person that advised me. You can tell me about some of the things you've been through, but you can't give me no advice. Look, people, I'm about to get up out of here. I'm tired of y'all in this.
It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go.